Welcome everybody to the Scale Up Show. This is your host, Ryan Staley, and I have a very special guest back with me today, Jonathan Lister, the Chief Operating Officer over at Vidyard, which is a video AI avatar solution for go-to-market. We go deep on this specifically in episode 1, and Jonathan breaks down kind of a crawl, walk, run approach that he sees happening in the market, specifically as it relates to prospecting and leveraging AI for pipeline creation. Jonathan, welcome. Happy to have you back, man.
Yeah, great to be back. Thank you. Nice to be here.
Yeah. So like I said, if you missed episode 1, go back and check that out. Some really good content that we covered within there, which is super hot right now, especially with what's happening with video, Sora being released and other areas, but specific to increasing your revenue and profit. So we're going to shift gears a little bit now because like Jonathan and I were talking and was really curious to see how the market's responding to, since he has an AI product, what the AI market is, or how the market's approaching AI right now. So Jonathan, walk me through what you're seeing in the space, like how people are responding to these video AI avatars, and would just love to hear your perspective as a whole on where you see things going.
Yeah, for sure. And maybe before I start, like the place we started when we first conceived avatars was like, what problem we trying to solve. And like, it's really hard to sell right now. And I think you all understand that, your audience understands that it's hard for a whole bunch of reasons. Hard to stand out. Channels are super crowded, super hard to build relationships. Part of that is market driven, like the market that we have been in for a couple of years and maybe, moving through. And just part of it is like where tech is at. It's also hard to be a buyer. Like it's buyers want more automation. They ask for AI. They like, I hate to say it, but buyers don't want to talk to sales reps, right? In case folks didn't know that, like the research is pretty buttoned up on that. And it's hard for them to sell themselves. Like when a buyer buys, they've got to sell internally, and it's super hard. So we tried to solve all these problems, and we figured, AI avatars are really like that personalization at scale and helps to really address some of these challenges. So that's what we went to market with. When we're talking to customers and prospects initially, when we launched this, we said like, this is the problem we're trying to solve. How would you use it? And I would say like the first reaction, pretty strong reaction we got, maybe two reactions we got from the market initially. One was, we love this idea. We love the concept, but we're not ready for human out of the loop. We don't want this to be fully automated. We want human in the loop. We want to be able to, review an avatar video before it gets sent out. So it's fun. So we took that was like reasonably consistent. So we built that sort of into the product, that ability to review, that ability to press, reject or accept or whatever it is. Super helpful. 8 months later, we hear a lot less of that. And I'm talking to the same audience. I'm talking to, C-suite at large, Fortune 500 companies, called CRO, CMO. And now I'm hearing a lot more, tell me more about human out of the loop. And we happen to have a product, our autonomous sales agent version, our avatar is built into workflow. That's effectively human out of the loop. And the market is, I'd say 9 months later, telling us they're a lot more accepting of that. And we have some pilots in market that would sort of back that up. So I think that's just a really interesting trend that I think's happened over the last, call it maybe 9 months. And then the second thing we heard, look, like AI is new and avatars are a visual representation of somebody, and it generates all kinds of reactions, and there's a wide range of reactions. And some of those are like the penny drops and it's fantastic, and some are unsettling and there's people having reactions. My job is to create an amazing product and have that product deliver value to customers and explain everything, kind of along the way. And I think what we're starting to see, it's super early, but actually maybe what we have found is that as people use the product, their interest in kind of reviewing it, they move past that fairly quickly. Like once they understand how the product works and they see it, and they generate a video a number of times, their interest in kind of reviewing it, I think, decreases. And so we're getting closer to like the acceptance of human out of.
Yeah. I mean, I'm seeing a lot more comfort too. And like, I could talk about this at a couple different levels, right? If we're talking at like the PE, like deal team level, they're placing expectations on their portfolio companies to, and this is from direct conversations I've had, to go the autonomous route. So I think like now it's because it's so mainstream, it's getting pushed down from the investors, right? Would you agree? Are you seeing the same thing or no?
Well, I think there's definitely, I think there's a mandate to, figure it out. There's a mandate to invest in AI. There's a mandate. Most companies have this thing. But I think the real thing that people feel, that sales leaders feel, is this intense moment of like, if there's a lot of competition, it's really tough to sell. And it's pretty clear that they're going to be tools that make a big difference. And I think they're feeling a lot of pressure to figure those out, to learn about them and to invest in them. So I take that approach too. Like my job is really to help people understand where I think this is going and understand the capabilities. And those are the kinds of conversations I love having, is like, here's what we've done, here's what it can do, how might you use this? And we can kind of paint the picture of how this is going to play out, but I certainly can't predict the future. I don't know what it's going to look like 2 years from now, but I'm pretty sure like there's going to be some breakthroughs, and it's going to be really important for companies to be aware of them and to be, if not invested in them, at least like, really kind of clear on what the implications are.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point, man. Like, it's just because things are happening so fast. Maybe we went from the O1 reasoning model, PhD level reasoning, and full release in December, and they're already coming out with O3 and end of January. And that's like X magnitude leaps. And that just shows how insane things are. So let me ask you this question. I guess, like, for you, like, you're a go-to-market leader who has massive experience in tools, right? With go-to-market tools. Like, what are your favorite use cases that you're seeing with your own team that aren't named Vidyard right now? And like, what do you see working really well?
Yes, for sure. Well, you're right. I'm in a really interesting position where I run a sales team selling sales products to sellers. So like my professional life is the go-to-market ecosystem, and so I have I think a pretty interesting perspective. And so, yeah, of course, we like use our own tools maniacally and rapidly and learn from them. And other than that, like I remain a huge fan of like OpenAI in the workplace for productivity gains. We're encouraging every seller to use it. We have sort of lightweight playbooks. Like there are things I expect every seller to use OpenAI for, things like doing research, things like, there's no reason to walk into a meeting with a company with any kind of note without a ton of clarity. I think the age of discovery is either over or like super different, because your ability to walk into a meeting fully armed is like totally different. So that's an expectation. So I would say like the expectations have just gone up for sellers. So internally we set standards, set expectations, and make those asks of them. But certainly research, certainly quality of presentation, and therefore quality of delivery, like all those things get better with OpenAI. So I just start there. I think that's like the easiest, fastest, and actually like quite high value way to get more productivity and efficiency out of the team.
Yeah, I agree too. It arbitrages a lot of other tools as well. That's one of the things that you think, because in the past you would have had like 20-point solutions to do that, right?
Yeah. Right.
Effectively.
It's a simplish answer to what could be a complicated question. Like it's just do that, and you're probably getting material like productivity gains. And I've had reps like have these eye-opening moments like, oh my God, I can create this like, investment banker level presentation like in minutes. Like,
yeah. It's crazy. It's awesome too. Like I love it. I've seen so many people getting lit up from like, them either something they couldn't do or something that they struggled to do, right? And so they get super excited, which and that's super rewarding on that side of the house. So you mentioned your agent solution both in this episode and then the previous episode. So let's talk about agents for a little bit, because I'm wildly excited and interested about them. The term agent is used very loosely in the market. So I'm going to define it as basically like kind of what you mentioned, an autonomous agent. So it doesn't require instruction. Basically, you set it up in advance, and then it's event-based, time-based, or whatnot. I guess, like, where do you see, because there's a major clash that's going to happen with the way work is now, and then when agents are fully operationalized across, and let's just stick to the go-to-market side. So what do you see happening as this continues to mature, and how do you see it affecting like the number and quality of teams that are kind of out there?
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm sure you ask this question of all your guests, and I'm sure you get like a range of answers, and nobody knows. Like if I look at my Vidyard, because as sort of like an agent, I say about this crawl, walk, run kind of portfolio where crawls make your own video, even using AI, and run is autonomously put it into workflow. So autonomous is essentially an agent. It's what you described. One, it will depend on how well the product works and the efficacy, of course, right? But what we're seeing is efficacy of models is improving, like, as we all know, like dramatically, like really quickly, right? So you can assume that is going to continue to go, and efficacy is going to become much better. But I still think it will, it's going to be a part of a seller's arsenal for some meaningful period of time. Like, because the way I described it, the use cases that I see, none of those use cases are me sitting down either at the beginning of a relationship or in the middle or at the end or doing a QBR. There are these high profile moments that we are like, those are hard to envision, that an agent will play a meaningful role in all kinds of logistics around it and preparing for it and following up from it and all kinds of very, very important stuff. But it's hard to see that supplanting like some of these super high value moments. So that's kind of, and I'm sure other guests may say similar things, but that's the way I see it playing out for like the foreseeable future. There's a point at which like all bets are off. But it does feel like it's a really, really important complement, an increasingly important complement to a seller and a buyer's professional life for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. What about from an executive perspective? Like, how are you seeing it at that level?
That's a good question. Specifically agentic.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good question. I mean, again, it's super early, but I certainly can imagine that as companies do annual and quarterly planning, you're going to start having like some kind of a, productivity. I don't know, I would call it a plug, but you have some kind of like an expectation around a productivity gain that like, and every company's always done this forever. And they, you layer on all your productivity gains, but now you're just going to have this gain that's going to be like an agentic gain that is somewhere in your plan of record. And, I think we're in the early innings, but I know companies are already doing this and they're starting to plug that in. And, that it'll just become a part of your business model where, every year, every period, you expect some kind of either efficiency or productivity gain from agentic. And it will come, as you know, come from all kinds of different functions.
Yeah, no, I mean, so here's what, I mean, like I saw an example, and this was just taking an existing model where a CRO, a CMO, and the head of enablement did their whole top-down, bottom-up planning for the entire year in less than an hour.
That's interesting too. Sure.
So like, and it was good. It wasn't like shit, it wasn't just slapped together. And this is like I'm not going to say the name of the company, but a PE-backed company from one of the largest PE companies in the world, right? So it's like, it's not like a mom and pop shop, going down selling hot dogs or anything. So, I mean, I see that, and that's just in like the market we're at today. I think a lot of people don't even know that you could do that. And then I agree, like there's going to be the new expectation, like you're saying with that, where it's like compounding gains every quarter based on that. So I think that's a strong observation. Yes. Well, Jonathan, thanks again. It was a pleasure. We are up on time. Where can people find you? Where can they find more about Vidyard?
Yeah, I'm at vidyard.com. I'm personally on LinkedIn, Jonathan Lister, CEO at Vidyard. I'll chat with anyone. Love to talk to you. Love to try to help you all understand what we're doing and making go-to-market great.
Make it great again. Excellent. Well, thanks for being on the show, and we will see you all on the next episode.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan.